Hi there, I'm Sunny Muffin, and this is my Evergate any percent unrestricted marathon submission for SGDQ. Evergate is a 2D puzzle platformer by Stone Lantern Games, and we're going to be controlling Key. Key is this little ghostly figure that we're going to be introduced to here shortly, and we're going to be moving throughout the afterlife. So this game came out roughly a year ago, and it is a level-based 2D puzzle platform, and it's quite a bit of fun. I do really enjoy it. Now I'm going to be doing the any percent category, which basically just beats the game as quickly as possible, like any percent normally does. And we're going to be doing the unrestricted category. So in this game, you gain access to artifacts, and the unrestricted version of the run can use any of those artifacts. We do have a no unlockables run as well, that it's a little bit more restrictive and it's a little bit slower, but this particular run is the fastest version of the run. We're going to be going as quickly as we can. So this little ghostly figure right here, this is Key. Key is Key's dead. Key is now in the afterlife and is going to be coping with some memories that he experienced throughout life. In order to do this, we are going to be using Key's Soul Flame to interact with various things in the afterlife. So you see right here, I'm using my controller on this first little bit to control the Soul Flame. So the direction that my right stick is going to shoot Soul Flame in that direction. I am connecting it with the source. So the source is this white stuff you see on walls. It's also going to appear on breakable boxes and some various other terrain. But the source is what I need to connect my Soul Flame with in order for it to do anything. In addition, we have crystals. So those little green circles you saw right there, those are crystals. Those are just the tutorial crystals. Those don't actually do anything other than teach you what a crystal is. In order to progress through the puzzles throughout this game, we are going to be using various different types of crystals, and we need to connect to them using the Soul Flame and the source. So if you think about it like making a line, I need to have Key, I need to have the crystal, and then I need to have source. Those are the three things that need to happen in order to have some fun effects go through. We're going to be making our way through 75 different levels in this run. The any percent run goes, so you need to go through all of the levels. The any percent run doesn't skip any levels. It just doesn't get the various criteria you need for 100%. This zone that we're in right now, this is the library. This area is just used for some story purposes, and there's you can get some more background on why Key is in the afterlife and some various things like that. But we're more interested in the gate right here. So Evergate, we're going to be dealing with lots of gates. The gates will take me from level to level, as well as take me into various books that we're going to be exploring throughout Key's life. So the first location we are going to be visiting is China. So Key is right now in China, and we're going to be moving through some different memories. You might see them pop up from time to time as I enter a new gate, and that's how the story kind of progresses. But most of it is skipped because we just want to go fast. The first crystal we are introduced to is the boost crystal. So this little diamond looking yellow thing, basically anytime I connect with that, I gain a boost in that direction. Now you can get very, very quick horizontal movement the more horizontal you are to the crystal. So if you're perpendicular to the crystal, you're going straight sideways very, very fast. This level right here, 1-4, is notorious for killing runs. We're skipping basically half the level by abusing boost crystals that are slightly off screen. Now, we also have these little moving platforms. When you connect to them with a boost crystal, they move. Pretty simple. Not the biggest deal in the world. You are seeing that I'm using mainly controller here. So my personal preference for playing this game is using the hybrid control scheme, where I use controller for, I would say probably 90% of the levels, and then I use keyboard and mouse for the remainder. Each one does have its pluses and minuses. For me, controller is more comfortable, and we do gain access to the game's auto aim feature. I know that sounds like it's hacking. It's not. The auto aim feature will, so say that there is a crystal directly to the left of me. I use my joystick, I go straight left. It's going to try to connect that crystal to any source that's on the left. Now, I don't get to pick the angle. So if there's two crystals in a row, it might only hit one of them and be at the most precise angle to miss the second one. So if I have to do precise shots where I'm hitting multiple crystals, I'm going to be using the keyboard and mouse control scheme. So here we are in the Dark Woods. We gain access to Earth crystals in this one. So every new world is going to add a new crystal, except for the last two, and those are a little bit special. But the Earth crystal is going to create a platform underneath Key. Now, in that very, very first level that just went by like a blink, there is a unique mechanic with these Earth crystals where if you connect to them and jump very quickly, it resets your jump and you can effectively gain a double jump. So this enables a skip in that very first level, and it enables you to gain extra height on some of these. So here we have the birds. These birds are getting introduced, and anytime you break a crystal, these birds are going to fly from the left-hand side of the screen to the right-hand side of the screen, based on the location Key was at when the birds spawned. So it's like break crystal, 1 second, bird spawn, and you're dodging. If you go fast enough, you really don't have to worry about them at all. We also have these new falling terrain here, so these little bush looking things. If you stand on them for too long, they're going to fall. They also get broken by the birds. So these ones on the bottom here, I have to make sure that I don't spawn a bird because it'll just run straight through them and make it impossible to get to the gate and progress to the next level. This is the last level of the Dark Woods. We're going to take a little bit of a cheeky way here. I'm going to try to and go over the level, so you can actually use the crystals and boost yourself all the way over the top and gain access to the end there. This run is pre-recorded. This is my 3155 PB for Evergate, and yeah, I am just doing commentary after the fact because it's very difficult to play this game and talk. So if this does get into the marathon, I will have a good couch to support me. So yeah, between every set of levels, every set of 7, you get sent back to the library, and then some more story plays out, and you get back into the next section. So we're still in China here, and we have access to the fire crystals here. So these little red, I don't even know what the symbol looks like. It looks kind of like a fire. Basically, whenever you connect with those, it's going to ignite whatever's on the other end of that. So if it's source, it's going to be burning that source, and you're not going to have access to that for the remaining crystals. If it's these little like steam engine looking things, those platforms are going to move in the direction the arrow is pointing. If you connect it to these dragons are now going to start moving, and they're going to guide you along. In this particular level, that's kind of slow. We don't want to use the dragons because you have to wait for them. It's like an auto-scroller. We want to skip that. So doing some pretty precise crystal hits there off the left-hand side, we're able to skip the dragon sequence there. This one, you're able to skip up to the second dragon and completely ignore the right-hand side of the level and go over the top to skip this section as well. This level is pretty quick. It's cool. I like that you can. There's a lot of different ways to kind of go at these levels, especially when you're not concerned with the 100% criteria. So if you're interested, the 100% criteria is you have to break all the crystals, get all the essence, which are those little like translucent flower things, as well as complete the level within the speedrun timer. Most of the speedrun timers are very, very lenient, but some of them are pretty tight when you're trying to do 100%. We're not going to be anywhere near that on any of these levels, though. They're pretty trivial to hit if you're just going for speed. This level is really cool. In the start, you have to hit 3 rockets, or 3 fires off into various different directions that are going to ignite some rockets and burn some source, and it just goes by like that, but if you have to sit there and like look at the puzzle for a second, it does take some time to figure out how to exactly get where you want to go. This is one of my first keyboard mouse levels. I do this level on KBM because that jump right at the end, you do have to hit both of those boost crystals in order to get enough height to get to the gate. And if you miss one, you're down 10 seconds, and it's just not worth it. So I'll use the precision of keyboard mouse on that one, and it makes it a little bit harder on me. But some runners, they run primarily on keyboard and mouse, and they're really, really good at those type of levels. So this is the fastest world in the game. We have the blizzard. We are up in Alaska now, going through some more of Key's memories. And we gain access to the swap crystals. So these little hourglass looking things, whenever you connect with them, you swap to the location where you connected to that source. If that source is at like a box like it is there, that box now gets moved to where Q was. So we're able to teleport through these levels very, very quickly. And again, with these just kind of get blasted through. There's a lot of different things that are going on here. Like you see these little floaty zones that if you swap a box into them, the box will float up and kind of go throughout that. Yeah, we're not about that. We're about speed. We want to go fast. So right here, there's a very precise shot that you can do to swap to this upper left platform, and then use that upper left platform to get you to the end of the level. That's one of the harder levels in the run. This one, you can swap to this middle section and just end the level right there. So yeah, like I said, this book goes very, very quickly. Here, this is one of the ones that I do a respawn right at the start to get the camera to settle. So when you first zone in, you'll notice that the camera is kind of like slowly panning out. But in order to make that shot, I need the camera at the max distance right away, so I can line up my cursor and get to that, make that very precise shot and skip right to the end of the level. But yeah, that's the Blizzard. It's like a 2-minute split. It goes very, very quick. So just other things of note about Evergate. This game is available on PC and Switch, and I believe PS5. Don't quote me on that. The versions I have are PC and Switch, but I am currently running on the PC version, and I'm on the 1.1 patch for this run. But for GDQ, I would be on the 1.2 patch. There's like nothing changed between the two. The first 2 levels are slightly adjusted, and they got rid of some tutorial sections. So it's a little bit faster, but just as like a heads up, that's what would be happening. So here we gain access to the arrow crystals. So these crystals, they will break terrain, and you can also combine them with other crystals to have some fun effects. But yeah, so we are going to be using them to break terrain and gain access to later parts of levels. Here we gain access to the caribou mechanic. So I think this is like the most wild part of the game. But basically you have to hit these caribou with arrows in order to unlock the gates. So you'll see there's like a rock formation blocking you off from accessing the gate. I have to go and hit the caribou in the levels to open up the exit and allow me to finish the level. This is one of the more precise levels of the run. You're trying to beat this snow timer, and you can actually get all the way to the gate without triggering the snowfall once. It is time-based, and you have to be very, very quick to do that. I was on like the second fastest cycle there, but it's a difference of like half a second. So when you're going for PBs, it matters, but for consistency, it's not that big of a deal. So you see here, you're able to also combine those arrow crystals with various different things. So in that first section, I'm combining the arrow with the fire that's right there in order to burn the ice to teleport all around the level. That's another keyboard mouse level. Same with this one. I'm doing a very precise shot using the boost crystal and the swap crystal to bounce me up and get me to the platform that I need to get to, using the arrow crystal, hitting the caribou, and finishing it out very quickly. This game does lead itself very well to marathons because we have these various story bits throughout the gameplay. So right here, this would be like a great time to rattle off a couple of donations while the story progresses, and we're not really doing any gameplay. But neat little time saving trick right there. I use the respawn to put me right back at the start, so I'm right where the book is, and I'm able to progress into the next set of levels. So we are currently in Northern Lights. Northern Lights gains us access to the void crystals. So these little purple crystals, whenever you connect with them, they're going to make a void zone wherever key is. These void zones you like swim through. It's one of the areas of the game that you actually have full direction of movement. Normally you only have the WASD and then the 4 diagonals, but when you're within these void zones, you can swim at any diagonal that you would like, which is pretty cool. It's a nice change up from the way the game is progressing up to this point. Here we have another mechanic that we're introduced to, these little white beams. Whenever you cross through them, you are going to destroy all of the void zones that have been placed. So you do have to plan a little bit and make sure that you are set up to finish the level before you pass through those white zones, because all of your void zones that you've placed are going bye-bye. This level, you can, I don't think this is intended, but you can climb up through this middle section and then just use some of the boost crystals off on the left-hand side to boost yourself through, and then hop into the void zone and finish it out. There's like 5 different paths through that level that are all like varying levels of quick. That's the one I'm most comfortable with. So these breakable terrains there, you see that there's like a little micro ledge on them. You can abuse that micro ledge and just hop over them instead of having to break them. It's a little bit faster, and we like to go quick. This level has a really precise shot, so you can go over the left-hand side of this level by connecting the void crystal and the arrow crystal there to create a void zone, and you have just enough speed when you're exiting out of that void to hop over to the left-hand side of the level. There's additional ways to finish that level, of course. The casual way takes like 30 seconds, so we're not about that life. But there's another speedrun way that's like 2 seconds slower than that, and it's way more consistent, but I'm about saving that time, so we're going with swag strats in this run. So next level is Schoolyard. Schoolyard, we get the Fierce Flight. So this little like fire arrow crystal looking thing. Whenever you connect with that, you gain full direction of movement and you're able to fly through. So this will break, it'll break terrain, as well as it'll move these like source balls. I'm not going to be moving this one because you could just hop over the top of the level. And it kind of behaves similar to like the Celeste feather. So when I connect with these, you have full direction of movement and you're flying throughout the level. If you're on keyboard and mouse, it's really like, it's probably the most uncomfortable thing in this game, because you'll connect with the source and then you have to point your mouse the direction you want to go. So some sequences, you're going to be swapping your mouse back and forth to break a crystal and fly at the same time. This is for fun. This is a controller only strat. You do have to hit an off-screen crystal. So controller, you're able to actually hit off-screen crystals, but if you're unable to point your mouse there, you can't actually hit the crystal. So that is a controller only strat. There are 2 of those in this run, and they made the keyboard mouse runners mad, because now they had to play with controller if they wanted to go fast. Yeah, so we're making our way through Schoolyard here. This is a pretty precise jump to get to this platform, and you're able to skip straight to the end of the level. We have some more environmental hazards that we're dodging here. But yeah, you don't really have to deal with them if you're going fast. This is another off-screen shot. This one keyboard mouse can hit. It's just really, really hard, very precise. Controller, it's pretty free. You break the first crystal, jump off to the right, and just blind hit the crystal to the right and fly around the level. And that way you just don't have to do a very long sequence of fire crystals and fierce flights. Yeah, so it's pretty quick. I like it. More story section here. We're learning about Ha right now. So this is Key's other half. It's Key's brother, and in life, Key wasn't very good to his brother, and he's trying to come to terms with that now in the afterlife. And Ha is going to be screwing up some things in Key's afterlife because he's mad. So some of these sequences you're going to see Ha pop up, and yeah, he's not going to be very happy with Key. So I haven't really talked about artifacts. So this is one of the artifact swaps of the game. So this is the Lucky Frog. It increased my boost power by 20%. So those boost crystals, those little golden ones right there, as well as the pull crystals, which are basically the opposite. So instead of boosting, they're pulling. But both of those are impacted by the Lucky Frog, and they get a boost of 20% here. The artifact I was using up to this point was the Firecracker Tail, which increases Key's move speed by 25%. In these levels, you're really not like running very much. You're mostly using pulls and boosts, so it is faster to do this chapter on the Lucky Frog. This level's pretty cool. There are like 3 different routes that you can take through it. I prefer going underneath. It's more comfortable to me. The over the top way is a little bit faster, but by like 0.3 of a second. It's not very much different. This is a keyboard mouse level. You have to make some very, very precise shots. So like on controller, it's like impossible to connect all 4 of those seamlessly. Normally you're a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and the game is just going to pick like a weird angle and not connect them, and then you just ruin that level and you have to redo it, and it takes like 10 more seconds. We also have the air raid mechanic that I haven't really explained at all because we just avoid most of it. But basically these levels all have the end gate. blocked off by rocks. And in order to break those rocks, we have to trigger an air raid. So we do that by connecting with the radio, and that triggers the air raid. It's causing all this debris to fall from the sky, and it's going to break those rocks for us. So doing a little bit of off-screen movement here, because that was actually the fast strat. I failed the fast strat on my first attempt in this level, but when you connect those pull crystals, it basically multiplies the effect. So if you have 2 of them, you're going like 200% faster, and you just fly across the screen. You do have to do some off-screen movement when you do that, because the camera just cannot keep up. The camera in this game is really slow. So we have some various different things that we can do to avoid that. One of them being that reset function. Like you could do that right at the start, which will just pan the camera all the way out to its default. But sometimes you're just flying too fast for it, and you gotta wait for it to catch up. Alright, so we are trucking right along. We're moving into Neon Alley. Neon Alley is probably one of the hardest sections in the any% run. We have the jump crystals in this. So these little green springy thingies, they are jump crystals, and what they do is they refresh your jump. And you can also stack them to gain multiple jumps. So if you have like 4 of them in a row, you can hit all 4 and you gain 4 more jumps. This next level is like probably my least favorite level in the any% run. It relies on some very, very precise jumps, and you're dodging these EMP zones. So these little hexagonal blue zones, you can't use your soul flame in. It's something you have to avoid and something you have to plan around. And that second level of this world, it's just really, really precise, and you're dodging them and breaking crystals all over the place. It's hard. This one, there's a pretty precise swap where you're swapping to avoid a section of the level, and I don't think it's pixel perfect, but it's very, very close. There's a visual indicator for it, but I burned that visual indicator because of the drone. So there's these drones here that you'll see them turn red, so like the white area underneath them, that's what they can see, and they turn red and they'll shoot you. So this one, you have to break the grass that's blocking the exit, and then I do a couple of precise shots to hit some jump crystals to fly to the end. This one, you're just kind of floating around this EMP zone and hitting the various jump crystals and connecting them to source. It's pretty swaggy. It's pretty hard to do consistently because you have to have really tight angles on the various jump crystals that you have to hit, and it just makes it really hard. So this level you can actually go over the top, but it's slow, so it's actually faster to go just hold right, and then you use the drone to break the other drone, and then you fall to the bottom and avoid the EMP zone, hit the jump crystal, and you're out of there. Right, here we're going to be introduced to the game's boss. There's only one boss fight in this game, and it's kind of random where it's located, but we have to fight this crow, this bird. He's a jerk bird. Any of you that play RPGs, there's always an RPG jerk bird. This is ours for Evergate, but he's very cheesable. We have this spirit arrow artifact, and it allows the arrow crystals to lock onto their targets. So this bird, as long as I'm like in the general direction of the bird, these arrow crystals are going to lock on and take them out. It's very, very easy boss fight. The no unlockable speedrun actually has to do this fight, and I laughed. Ha ha ha. So once we are finished, we gotta go pick up this little flower thingy, and we're out of here. So we have 2 worlds left to go, and they are the most difficult worlds of the run. Underlands coming up is probably what I lose the most runs to. The levels are pretty long, and if you fail them, you lose 20 to 30 seconds. It can happen like that, your run just dies. They're fairly difficult. There's some pretty hard shots that you have to make in order to beat the levels quickly. We are introduced to a new mechanic here. So you see these boxes. When I connect my source with the box, it's going to change all of these like wild crystals to that crystal type. So here I hit the pull crystal, and it changes all of the little black voidy crystals to pull crystals. So you have to manipulate what different crystal types you want in order to finish the levels quickly. Here there is a swap crystal box that's just off screen. This is one of the swaggier levels in the run. You hit it off screen, and then you swap to a crystal that's right next to it, and you finish the finish the level quickly. The no unlockables one run also can't do that strat because you're not fast enough. You don't have the firecracker tail. That's a keyboard mouse level. There's some very precise shots there that I can't make on controller, so have to switch. Here we just have to climb up this little center section. I don't actually swap the crystals at all outside of the void crystal, so that one's a really simple level. Here we have a very difficult shot. So while you're midair, you have to hit the jump crystal that's on the right hand side, and then you have to swap over and hit the 3 pull crystals. You have to hit all 3 in order to skip around the left hand side of that level. And this level is fairly free. You can get through that gap without jumping. It's really swaggy, but it's really hard and not worth going for to save the 0.1 seconds that it saves. But basically you just have to fall to the end. That level is pretty simple. All right, we are finishing out. So we are heading into the storm. This is one of the more laid back sections, actually. There are 5 levels here. 3 of them are like the traditional puzzle style that we've been seeing, and then 2 of them are kind of special, and we'll talk about those more when we get to them. But we have some story progression here where, again, Key is dealing with Ha and trying to come to terms with his bad memories. So Ha is going to now be the character that we are playing as, and we are going through some of Ha's memories. So Ha's memories are really, really weird. They are combining elements of all of the various memories that you can see here. We have like the schoolyard tile set, we have the Alaska tile set, we have the we have mechanics from the air raids from New York. We have it just gets crazy. But this level is it's a puzzle to break the wall above the gate there. So by doing a very precise shot on the left hand side, we're able to skip the main puzzle component. Right here we have a cool off-screen shot that we have to do. So we're able to fly over this little central pillar. You can't do that on keyboard mouse because you can't target off of the screen. When you're in fierce flight, you have to use your mouse to fly, and you can't fly to somewhere that's off screen. So you have to use the controller on that one. But it allows you to skip, again, basically all of that level. This one, we are going to ignite the dragon and use this swap crystal while being on top of the drone to gain access to the top of the level. That dragon burns through the little ice crystal section right there, and for some reason, like, you gain access to another jump when you use that swap crystal. Like, that dragon is completely vertical, but you gain another jump, which is really handy. But that's another keyboard mouse level, because if you're not targeting the swap crystal on like the top half of it, you don't have enough height to jump over to the top. So if you're on controller and you're trying that skip, it's a little bit more difficult. So here we have the final game gimmick. So we have the boost crystal power right now, and anytime we connect to the source, we gain a boost. There's a skip right here that I go for and miss. That's embarrassing. But basically you're using the boost crystal and you have unlimited access to boosts. You can go out of bounds right here and it skips the small section. I get it second try. Second try wastes a little bit of time, but it's not that big of a deal. First try saves quite a bit of time. This strat right here is PC only, because you're just creating tons and tons of void zones. And rip my graphics card right here, my FPS tanks from like 400 to like 60. So if you're trying that on Switch or on console, it doesn't work nearly as well because you go down to like 10 FPS and it becomes a slideshow. Right here we have the jump crystal, so unlimited jumps, and this is just about optimizing, making sure that we are using as little jump as possible to fall through this section. Any jump wastes time because we want to go down, not up. And the last section right here, we have Fierce Flight. Fierce Flight allows you to break through some various terrain as well as these boxes. There is like 2 routes through this. One of them is slow and safe, one of them is fast. So we go the unsafe, fast way. Yeah, and that is basically the end of gameplay. So we have a ton of story that's going to play out right now. Key is going to make good with Ha, and they're gonna talk it out, and basically Key is coming to terms with his life and is going to be peaceful now in the afterlife, and everything is going to be happy. So timing doesn't actually stop until the credits start rolling, which is like 2 minutes from now. So I'm gonna take a quick break and drink some water. Yeah, so this is Evergate. There are some really cool donation incentives that I do want to include. So on the PC version, the Soul Flame colors, you see right there it's green. There are, I believe, 7 different options of colors that you can choose from. So that's one donation incentive I would like to offer up for this run. Additionally, there are some bonus levels that aren't included in the main game. Technically, you have to 100% to unlock them, but I can just use a file that is 100%ed, and they're basically like master levels, where they're really, really complicated. They're much longer. Like if you played Celeste, think Celeste Seasides, where they're much longer levels and they're just way more complicated. But I would like to offer up a showcase of that as well to augment this submission as well, so we can hopefully raise some money for Doctors Without Borders. Yeah, so this is Evergate. I just want to thank you all for watching this video. If you made it through the whole thing, that's awesome. If you're just skimming it, that's cool too. I think this would be a great candidate for GDQ. It's not a very long game. It's visually pretty stunning. I really, really like the visuals of it. The score is amazing, and the developers, my heart goes out to them. Stone Lantern Games, they've been with the speedrunning community the entire time, and they're just absolutely amazing. And I think it would be so cool to show off their game at a GDQ. We were on GDQ Hotfix with the community, and we showed off 3 runs there, but nothing beats the big stage. And I thank you for considering this submission, and I hope we get to see some Evergate in SGDQ. But with that, again, I'm Sunny Muffin. Thank you for watching. I hope you consider this submission.